Welcome to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am Coach R.L. Simmons. I am here with my illustrious co-host, Donnell Johns, and we have another special guest for you today. Today, we have Dondre Lawson. He is the CEO of Emerald Technical Solutions and Defense Interns. He's also one of my good senior non-coms from the National Guard, Maryland. What's going on, my friend?
Hanging in there, man. Life is good. We're just rolling with the punches.
That's all we can do.
So Dondre, we've met, but my audience hasn't met you yet, and I want you to share with them a little bit about your military experience and background.
Okay, so I joined the Army in 2011. Into 2011, went and joined the best branch, the signal branch. You can't talk without us. As part of that shoot, move, communicate, was able to finish my basic combat training in AIT down at Fort Gordon. I've been to Fort Gordon, I don't know, 8 times, 7 times. I don't want to go back to it's Fort Eisenhower. So I don't want to go back there. Probably will though. Been in the Guard this entire time. I've been out of the country twice with the Maryland National Guard. It's been great. That path, the journey, everything that I've learned, benefits that we've been able to, I would say, achieve, because you just don't get them when you come in the door most of the time. You gotta pass through certain things to be able to utilize some of those benefits. Those have been great. The career's been great. I'm happy to be an NCO. Probably will end my career out as an NCO, and it's been wonderful so far.
Hey, so how has your military how has your military experience influenced your journey into entrepreneurship?
I think a lot of things that bother entrepreneurs that don't have a military background would do scare people. And you've been under stress, you've been under situations. You got Command Sergeant Major Johns, you got 3 other people telling you got to do 5 separate things all at the same time, and you make it work while you're in an environment that's not safe, right? You make it work. And so I think all the military veteran entrepreneurs that I've met are cut different. They're not the same as your other CEOs, other C-suite level executives, because they've dealt with, they've been in an austere environment before, they've dealt with adversity before, they've been told no 1,000 times. And so a lot of those things, it's like, hey, how can you guys work until the middle, 3, 4 in the morning, wake up at 7, do PT, act like nothing's going on, and then go to work? How is that possible? And I find that a lot of people, the difference when you start going around, especially if you're a new business owner, when you start going around to different conferences and meeting different people, you can distinctively tell. If it's not a veteran conference, you can distinctively tell who's a vet, who's not a vet, and how they run their business.
No, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. My wife looks at me sometimes and she goes, "Why isn't that rattling you?" I'm like, I already understand what the mission is. And so any roadblocks in between there, I just go around them. It doesn't bother me. But my next question is what inspired you, to get into the business world? Where did that inspiration come from?
I think at first it was it was a technical inspiration. I was working for a large contractor, essentially as a technical cowboy. And it was, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Hey, we can give you as many charge trains as you can handle in a day, as long as it's all legal, right? You're actually working those hours you're saying you're working. And I was like, hey, if someone came to me and said, hey, if you can do those 3 things all at the same time, you can run a business. Because the type of business you would start, a technical company, you already know how to implement and do things in a quick manner and in a thorough manner, compared to someone else who's trying to figure out, different things about how they do a business, and they're trying to worry about the IT and things like that. And it hasn't been as easy as it's getting now. I think a lot of the time is, a problem approaches us. Like right now we have CMMC, we're in the middle of an audit, and everything has to be, all the documentation has to be thorough, network diagrams, scoping diagrams, difference between CUI, FCI, CRMA, lots of different things that are going on, all while we're trying to run the business still, right? And for me, it's been a good journey so far, being able to leverage me being just a nerd, right? Just being nerdy and knowing about what I've been doing in order to make our customers have a warm and fuzzy, be like, hey, the CEO can come in here and he can get in that server room. He can take apart those machines. He can figure out those servers. He can cluster them. He can figure out, how to put all this stuff, connect it, get it interconnected, and get it set up and get it secure and get it STIG. And if he can do it, then when he goes to select somebody, what do you think the talent looks like when they come over here?
That's
I
good.
get it.
That's good. Hey, so tell us a little bit about your businesses and its unique propositions.
It's a good question. Listen, everybody and their grandma in federal contracting space does IT. Everybody. I mean, cybersecurity, IT. For us, it's on the shirt, right? People, technology, and mission, right? The mission doesn't work without technology, and the technology don't work without people, right? And the mission comes from the customers. And for me, it's been trying to delineate ourselves as a extraordinary small business. If you need something done that is difficult, right? I don't help desk related work. We have it, we do it, but that's not the work that gives us good past performance. If you want us to build things in the cloud for you, if you want us to build third-party applications in the cloud, you want us to integrate some native tools from cloud environments into your organization, or you want to start from scratch, we are your people. If you want to do TSSCI work at a level where there's different development groups all trying to build a product and work together, we are your people. We try to approach different problems differently than everyone else. When I write a proposal, when we submit something, I might start building it out in a test environment to show that customer, hey, I can do this. Like we could do it right now. Can you implement a service desk with a knowledge base behind it? Yes. We're partnered with Atlassian. We can get Jira and Confluence going for you. Can you guys do, geospatial imaging? Can you guys use drone to map? You guys know about ArcGIS? Yes, we're Esri partners. Do you know how to implement things inside of Microsoft Azure and IL5 or IL6 environment? Yes, we have past performance in there, and we're a Microsoft partner, right? Things like that, and then following up with, oh, we're a partner too. So if we do run into an issue, we can reach out to that partner, partner portal, partner connect, and try to get it done for you. But I like being quick and thorough, right? Because while, especially right now with the government efficiency thing going on, it's, hey, we're going to slim down and we want to pick people that's going to actually come in here and be able to execute and do work for us. And so that is where our delineation between what Emerald does as a technical company and what everyone else does as technical companies, that's where the delineation comes into play.
You're hired. You're hired.
Yeah.
You're currently serving right now, and you're also running two businesses and currently serving. What are some unique challenges that you had to deal with currently wearing the uniform?
Right now I'm not running into a lot. And that is because the leadership at the level, at the state, recognized, hey, we have a troop who is being awarded and recognized for, doing over $1 million in revenue. We want to talk to him and use him for, his skill set outside of him doing his job as a soldier. And it wasn't always that way. A lot of people look at you crazy when you go, I have a business and I can't really go anywhere unless we go to war. But someone who's been deployed twice, has been on multiple state missions, and has done a lot of things. Right now, unfortunately, in that aspect, my focus is on my business because I live a certain type of life. I have a certain type of, I'm not going to say real bills, but I have bills that are more expensive than what I would get paid as a sergeant first class, right? Not to say that if they call me tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to war with X country, you need to figure it out. I'm going to have to figure it out. But that's why the National Guard is so versatile and great, is because if someone is doing something, or if someone is an SES, right, over at some government, and they're like, hey, I'm doing stuff with my government job, I need to be real flexible about when I come in for AT or when I'm coming in for drills or the things that I'm doing. They are great at saying, hey, we understand, do X, do X. Still drill, still do ATs, still show up in uniform. But, it's been, initially it was bad. I'm not gonna say bad, but it was, I'd be like, I got a business. People are like, sure you do. Sure you have a business. I'd be like, okay, I can clear you. I can give you a top secret clearance right now if I wanted to. If my customer wants to bring a person in, and we can actually get someone through a clearance process. But initially that was a lot of the, hoops of fire to jump through. And now it's, hey, I'm doing stuff for active duty Army. I'm doing stuff for active duty Navy. We're doing stuff on military one source contract that the entire DoD uses. Please allow me to have extra time to operate or to split train or to do some of these things, because I'm working for the organization that really helps support our organization. And I think that's now better. It's better. It's more apparent. It's saying, hey, Roger, we got it. Just make sure you do the right thing, and then you're checking in, and then you're getting your time, and we'll work with you.
No, that's good, man, and that kind of shows the flexibility of the military, because I can attest to those things as well, with the leadership working with us, knowing that what we do, it benefits them in the long run. Let's kind of look at your career over time. Are there some key lessons that you learned in the military that you could share with us that you applied into your business?
I did another podcast and I talked about, I think I sent it to you. I know it was about stacking mentors. When you start out as a private or second lieutenant, you're looking for information. Most of the time, looking for information, right? You're looking for someone to help you get to certain places. I think what people don't do is go through a mentorship transition where, hey, Donnell's my mentor, John is my mentor, Brad's my mentor, and it's at different stages throughout the game. The person that was mentoring me or was listening to was always 3 ranks ahead of me, right? All the time. I'm an E1, I was listening to an E5. I'm E5, I'm talking to an E8. And when I was deployed in 2017, in particular, I had an E7 who was like, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. Hey, you're a 25 series. You need to have Security Plus. You need to have Server Plus. You need to be working on, degree programs for IT. Right? I don't want my signal people around me not certified. Right? I don't want my signal people around me not able to understand complex issues, problems. And so even now, the people that I talk to as I wouldn't say a traditional mentorship, they're doing $5 to $10 million more money than I'm doing, because that's what I'm looking for inside of someone else that can help me grow. And so stacking mentors is one. 2 is knowing when to catch people, lying. A lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then a week goes by, I'll still get to it. And then procrastination is abundant, right? Laziness is abundant. And then there's a good delineation of people like, hey, go to that person because you know it's going to get done. And I didn't understand that. And for a while, I'd be like, why do these people keep tasking me? Am I in trouble? Did I look at somebody wrong? Did I say something wrong to somebody? And they're like, no. We know if we ask you to do something, it's going to get done. And unfortunately, we have to, as well, in that setting as NCOs, we have to go work with those other people to try to get them to where you're operating at. But if we actually do something, it's probably gonna get done in an hour or 2, depending on how big the task is. And I'm like, I don't like owing people anything, and I don't want any. Even now, like, I have a bunch of tasks that I have to complete, and I'd be working through them. I'd be really trying to get them done. And then when I have a big task, I'm like, this is a lot of my time, and I got to be able to stop and start that task. And some people are like, I just want to sit down and knock the whole thing out. But I can't do that. I have to start a task, get hit with 6 other things, stop it, complete those 6 other things, go back to that task and back and forth. And, stacking mentorships or leaders, and then also knowing how to switch gears, things that I learned in the military, like in a military manner, where it's not like, hey, sir, can you please do this? It's, hey, soldier, hey, private, get over here, and go do this. And you're like, all right, I'm doing this. And then on your way to go do project A, Sergeant Major sees you, hey, I need you to go talk to this person, or maybe not Sergeant Major, but E7. And you're like, how do I solve all these issues for all these people when all these taskings are coming from different places? And it doesn't obviously always work in that traditional, you know what? I don't think I've ever been in the traditional, I take all commands from the squad leader. The squad leader takes it from the platoon sergeant. The platoon sergeant takes it from it hasn't worked like that. It's always been like, like shotgun and people just coming out of nowhere. And it's been fine, right? And it's taught me that I can be like a Swiss Army knife and I can solve a bunch of issues all at the same time. I need to clone myself, really. But this is what I've learned so far.
Hey, I have another question for you, and I told you sometimes they come off the cuff, man. And I kind of fall in this realm as well, right? Multiple businesses, also serving, being a family man. How do you manage your time, and what would be some advice you would give to somebody who's trying to juggle multiple tasks, and how to execute those tasks without, letting something slip away?
A good question. And I'm terrible at managing time, right? I'm getting better with it. I work off my calendar. Like a lot of people, if it is not on my calendar, personal or business, it doesn't exist. Like it could be like, hey, some guy said they want to come, watch the Super Bowl. If it's not on the calendar, I don't know it exists. It sounds crazy, but it's really not. And so what I'm trying to do now is say, hey, if I work from 6 a.m. to 8 or 9, take a break, right? Like I'm trying to insert breaks now into my time, like into my days. Hey, this is a block of time that's blocked out. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna do something else. I have to do that because my type of like the type of person I'm in, I will just keep working. I'll just be like, hey, I work 14 hours a day. It didn't even bother me. And that's kind of how it is, because once you get to a certain point, you're like, if X prime contractor sends me work tonight and goes, hey, can you help us respond to this RFP that's due in a week? It's going to be a minimum of 10 pages from you. I'm now focused on doing that because that's more revenue for the company. So then I also kind of change my schedule based off of priority of taskings that come in. Like I might just I might just rotate things in the schedule that like, hey, I know I was doing this stuff on Monday, but that really needs to be a Friday thing now. I really need to move that around to Friday. And, I've read a bunch of books and I've seen a bunch of podcasts where people are like, I don't have meetings over 15 minutes. And so I'm trying to not have meetings over 30 minutes. And it's great because it's like, hey, can you give me the information? What do you need from me? Can we move on from there? And can I continue? And I don't want to be in an hour and a half meeting because I could have completed, some other things outside of just us sitting in this meeting and keep going back and forth about what needs to happen. And so I think time, you talk to any billionaire, people making tens of millions of dollars, they're like, if I could get time back, I would do it. Like time is of essence. And a lot of people who aren't, I would say, I'm gonna say alpha people, just people that aren't geared like that, they're not built like that. Okay, you're chilling, they're hanging out, time is, they go to work, they come home, they're not working, there's nothing else on the schedule. Well, for me, it's like this week, I was like, there's nothing on the calendar other than this. And then sure enough, there's now 7 meetings on the calendar for this week. And then next week is the, BEA conference, and I'm with in a National Guard capacity. I'm there for 4 days. So 4 days for me, 2 days out of a normal work week is a lot of missed time of not doing something. So I also do it, and like they talk about, shuttle sprints, you do 30, 60, 30, 60. I shuttle sprint some of my days. I might be like, hey, this is going to be like tonight, it's going to be a 1 o'clock night. I'm going to knock this stuff out. I'm going to complete it. And then I'm going to go on about my business. And I'll sleep a little later. But then when I get up, I'm going to be a 30-second, not 60-second. So that's kind of how I've been doing my time schedule so far. And it'll change. It won't work like this forever. It's going to have to change because I still have to fit time in there for personal things and exterior things that I'm trying to work on.
Now you had a visitor right before we came on the podcast and started recording. How do you balance family with all of that and then the growth of your business? Because you said you're a calendar guy, but when it comes to family, how do you fit that in?
Yeah, it's a hard question. Another hard question right now. It's a good question. It's you're trying to keep everyone happy. You want to spend time with the people that you also work hard for so you can ensure that, food continues to come. There's plates on the table. There's food on the plates, right? Bills are paid, lights are turned on. So I can't answer that question directly. I think it's going to be a time thing, right? As it changes, as they get older, as they try to figure out some other things. How do I utilize time that I'm here and there, right? I just got out of I was in a Goldman Sachs program, and the biggest thing from the program was, you as an owner, you need to get your time back. And so if you need to outsource things, if you're doing things that is taking time away from you that you don't want to do, you need to outsource it. You just need to pay somebody. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that works for certain situations. Like I had originally, outsourced our website and it was trash. And I was like, I'm just going to do it myself because I can build websites and it looks great. At least I think it looks great. And some of the customers they've seen are like, hey, that's a good website. And it's been, how do you leverage your time and how do you allocate time? What do you outsource, especially as a small business? If this is a small business, like if we're talking small business, like where are you putting your time at? Is it business development? Is it in HR stuff? Is it in relationship building, partner building? Is it in writing? Is it proposals? Is it in marketing? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you trying to market your business? Do you have Google Ads running and set up? Like there's a plethora of different things that you have to do within a business in order to have it work, and that all requires time. Not even only from you, but also from some of the people around you. Like sometimes my COOs, hey, I don't understand this. Can we sync? And I'm like, can you do it now? She's like, yeah. Let's do it now. Let's try to knock it out and get it taken care of now. Because if it lingers, I say this all the time. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. If you keep waiting on something, the laws are going to change. Someone's going to be signing executive orders. You're not going to know what's going on, and you're going to be trying to figure out what to do now because you waited, and now you have to put up with the repercussions of waiting and not utilizing that time.
No, I get that. I do have one last question, and this has to do with growing and scaling, because initially the business was an idea in your head, and then now you have employees. When did you know it was time to, like you said, outsource to go to the next level?
So I'll give you guys a rundown. I was working 16 to 18-hour days for a whole year, and it wasn't bothering me. I was still sleeping. I actually was in better shape than I am now. I was working out. I was in the gym every morning, and I was just working, sitting in my office working. And I didn't have a lot of the, external things that I have now that requires my attention. And so I was working an Army contract and Navy contract, 8 hours a piece on each contract. And as a 1099, you could do that as long as if they're okay with it. They're like, hey, that's fine, we get it. And then a third contract came into place, and I was like, I can't do 3. I'm not going to sleep. And so I hired, my first team member, and I try to use team members over employees. So we hired our first team member. The first 5 people that I hired for the company were all people that I knew. So I already had to have, that's another thing that kind of ties back into the military was, and 3 of them were military people, was like, do we trust Lawson? How much do we trust him to quit our job, go work for this thing that he created, and maybe we get paid, right? And I was like, guys, listen, I have money, we have opportunity, we have to be agile, we have to be great, we have to be quick about what we do. So that was my first really growth step. And I would say my next biggest growth step was when I brought my COO on, who was an expert program and project manager, procedurals, contract deliverables, financial data tracking, documentation that correlates to contracts, subcontracts, working with prime contractors. She already knew everything. So for me, while I was like trying to learn it, when I brought her in, it really made a change, like difference of, okay, I don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. If I send Donnell to work on a contract and it costs, $10 a year for him, she makes sure that, or $12 a year, she makes sure every month that we charge $1, that the $1 is accounted for. There's a timesheet against the $1. Everyone is tracking. The prime contractor knows that that person worked that month and got paid $1. And so that was another big piece for me, was like, okay, now we're making enough money for me to have a COO. And then I hired a CGO, started off as a business development person, a business development manager. And now I'm not necessarily worried about, but I don't have complete eyes on what's going on in the business development realm. I know that there's some things that I want to chase and contract vehicles that I want to get on, but I know that is being handled right by someone else. And so when you start to think about how your organization should grow, that for me, that was like, okay, I need to create this foundation of people. Like a lot of people start with org charts and they build down. We should start at the bottom and build up, right? Because everyone's going to depend on us, right? Mm-hmm. If Crystal hires some APMs, if she has a bunch of PMs on different contracts, then they're going to need to know how she operates and how we interact with prime contractors or operate with our customers to be able to actually do good work, do good project management, do good business development based off on the principles and deliverables about how we do business. And so it's such an important question, because a lot of business owners it just depends on what people want to do. If it was just me still and I didn't have a whole organization in the office, all these bills, people to pay, things going on, I would be driving a very crazy looking car right now, right? I would have four vacation homes, and I would be working remote from the Maldives or doing something different, right? But when you talk about, hey, I'm trying to build something and grow something, there's a bunch of contractors, like 1-2 man shops, and they crush it, and they're happy. Those guys or girls do, $300,000-$400,000 a year, and they're going about their life. And you have other people, which we like to call psychopathic entrepreneurs, like, I want to have people, businesses, locations, multiple cage codes and SAM. I want to have work with these different organizations. And it really depends on kind of what you want to do when you talk about the growth in the business. And so for me, before with the guard, I was going to get out, and I had a sergeant major came to me and said, I can promise you that if you don't get out, that you'll be able to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel with the guard now versus what you were doing before. And using all these things to kind of play on and leverage to say, okay, now, we can go do this, or we can go do that, or, now we're in a different space talking to different people. Same way I met GI. So someone was like, hey, you need to go to this conference. This would be good for you. And we went to the Veterans Edge conference, And I met her, started seeing her in different places, but I was late to the party, right? I was late to the party. If I was an active duty guy, I was about to transition. Let's say I'm the best. I'm one of the best AI developers right now in the Army, and I'm a CW5. And I'm like, I'm about to retire. Let's say I'm a three or four, because it's been in 20 years. CW5s, you see them, they're like 30-year people, 27-year people. Like, hey, I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna get out, but I'm not gonna work, I'm gonna start my own business. There are so many different groups that are around that will tell you exactly what to do and exactly what not to do in order to have a lucrative business from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Not start your business and fail a bunch of times so you can see what it's like to fail, and then you can win. You can start winning from the jump and going out to the conferences and really paying attention to what some of these people who have made tens of millions of dollars that don't have to come out, but they come out to talk to you about, hey, if you're starting a business and you're past year two, you're doing business this way, you should be incorporated as an S corp, right, for tax purposes. You should be paying your taxes quarterly so you don't get hit with big tax bills at the end of the year. If you don't have a lawyer looking at teaming agreements or best athlete contracts, or you don't have a lawyer to get you some templates down for confidentiality agreements or non-disclosure agreements, teaming agreements, you should probably go see a lawyer. Hey, if you need to get a loan, if you won a contract and you don't have money, you need to get a loan, there's about 100 people in here that can get you a loan, get you a business line of credit. If you don't know about security, you're not from a G2 perspective, there's people walking around that have been industrial security reps their whole life. They can tell you about DCSA process. They can tell you about, continuous vetting. They can tell you about DIS, NBIS, NIS, and get your organization, your facility correct, right? If you don't know about project management, there's people walking around here that have tens of years of PM experience, either in the military capacity or in a contractor capacity. And as veterans, they want to see you really win, right? Because for the veteran community, they go, hey, Donnell got out, started some business, and he made $1 billion. That's good for the veteran community, because that's going to push more veterans to be able to give businesses and jobs to people. Because I'm always going to want, I can't say that, but I'm always going to want to, there's always going to be a preference for folks that are veterans. I can't hire you over someone else, but, oh, hey, you're a vet. Okay, cool. Oh, you passed this interview. Okay, that's great. And the government does it. You get 5 points or 10 points if you're disabled or not disabled. And so a lot of people look at it, a lot of people should look at it that way when they start talking about those aspects.
No, that's all great information. I want to thank you for being on our podcast. I'm going to pass it over to the GOAT.
Indeed, sir. Before we close out, I just want to know if you have any last words for the listeners and our guests.
Focus on your community. Focus on building a good team around yourself. The youth are important. The youth are people, just like you have junior soldiers. There are some 18-year-olds walking around with Security Plus, cloud certifications, ready to work, right? And their brains are still sponges. They don't have preconceived thought processes about what business should look like. You could teach them what business looks like. You can teach them what coming into a good organization looks like. It's very important to me is youth empowerment and letting everyone else understand that there are some talented people. Because when I came in the Army, it was do something wrong or go into the Army. And I feel like now is more opportunity for people to be able to do more with less. And it's good, right? If there are people listening and they're younger, the Maryland National Guard, if you're in the state of Maryland, is good. It's a good process to join. Joining the Army is a good process. Get you cleared, get you some food, some money, and opportunity, right? That's everlasting, and the longevity behind it is great. And then if anybody else wants to reach me or reach out, follow me on LinkedIn. You search Dondre Lawson. I'm on there probably once a day in the morning. It's a part of the morning ritual. Check LinkedIn for 10 minutes and go on about life. And I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast. I think that I'm not the only person that's, in the Guard or in a reserve capacity or active duty capacity that's out here doing great things, or at least trying to do great things. I think there's a bunch of other people, and they definitely need to be heard, because there's somebody right now that has a great idea and they're like, oh, starting a business is stupid. I don't want to do that. That's crazy. Wow, how can I do that? And they don't know about all the resources, NAVOBA. They don't know about the NVSB, the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. They don't know about Veterans Edge. They don't know about Vets 25. They don't know about Veterans in Business. They don't know about all these organizations that will really help you set your business up for success without a lot of failures.
I love that.
Really appreciate that, man. Hey, Donnell, tell folks how they can continue to support VGA.
First and foremost, if y'all watching this right now, I need you to like, comment, and subscribe to our Veterans Growing America podcast. Also, visit our website, veteransgrowingamerica.com. We are a nonprofit that supports veteran entrepreneurs, because we're in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. And if you're in the DMV, you need to stop by one of our stores, either in Maryland at the Clarksburg Premium Outlet, or our other store in Woodbridge at the Stonebridge at Potomac Town Center, and come by the store. And all you got to do is what? Shop, baby.
We are over and